Hi there, this is Paul. Welcome to the next in the series of Living with Purpose interviews, which I refer to as inspiring conversations with people who have committed their life and their work to answering their own calling and living their life of purpose. Now, my guest today is Mr. Colin Hiles, aka the Midlife Maverick. Colin is an author, he's a dynamic speaker, and also a mentor to people who want to live a life that they love. Now, Colin is also the founder of Follow Your Smile, which is a 6-step process that's helped thousands of people who've been feeling stuck, dissatisfied, and a bit restless in their lives. And he provides them with the tools and the strategies to live a life that they feel absolutely great about. Now, when Colin's not helping people following their smile, he loves any excuse to jump on his surfboard. He likes eating mojitos, eating fajitas, drinking mojitos, and having deep and meaningful conversations about the meaning of life, although probably not in that order, right, Colin? So, but from a personal point of view, I'm really excited to get to spend this time talking with Colin, because I've known Colin for a couple of years now, and in that time he's been a massive support to me. He's been a powerful mentor and somebody who I describe as being a creative spark plug that's helped inform me and inspire me in the work that I've done over the last couple of years. And something that Colin may or may not be aware of is that when he's not there and his name is mentioned in groups of people that know him, it seems to trigger this huge outpouring of love and appreciation for everything that he stands for. I've never met anybody who is so well respected as Mr. Hiles. If there was ever a person who truly walks their talk, then it's Colin. So let me bring Colin on now from sunny Spain. Mr. Hiles, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you very much. Wow, what an introduction. I've never been called a creative spark plug before. So
wow, there you go. There's a first.
I appreciate that. Well, good afternoon.
Afternoon. So I've alluded to some of the things that you're up to in the world, Colin, and I know that you have a fascinating story and what it's taken for you to get to where you are today. And, you know, you really do have a gift at inspiring and motivating people to live their very best lives. And there's a story that goes with that. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your background into the world of personal development and into the world of Follow Your Smile? Because I know that it wasn't an easy ride for you, but where you are today is you know, someone who lives their dreams. So how did it all start off for you, Colin?
All right, so let's go right back to school real quick. So I didn't have a great education. I really didn't get on well at school, and I was invited to leave at 15 with the labels slow, dyslexic, troublesome and backward. And I couldn't wait to leave, to be honest. And but at that time, I had such a low opinion of myself. I mean, really, really low. So I took jobs well below my capability. I was a milkman, taxi driver, odd carrier, you know, all of those type jobs. And then I came across network marketing. It was actually Herbalife. And for the first time, I was introduced to personal development through my first mentor, Jim Rohn. And that opened my eyes then to information about how to get more out of yourself. And I loved it. I lapped it up and, you know, did very well. But really, just on the sideline, I didn't change my job. I didn't do anything different in that sense, but my eyes were opened. And then I came across Tony Robbins, who is an American coach, and that was like being hit by an earthquake. I mean, that guy really shook me up. I was in the audience, and I looked and thought, I'd love to be able to do something like that. I mean, that is just so inspiring to be able to stand up there, 3,000 people. And I joined his organization and became one of his sales guys. Would go out and sell tickets, and we started a little business called Speakers International, and that's when I bumped into some guys that you know, and that was that we were then going into the corporate world and talking about mindset and beliefs and some of those things that weren't really being talked about, which we would now know as emotional intelligence. You know, it's sort of in the corporate world. And I loved it. I had an absolute ball. It was just an incredible, you know, from those early days of not really valuing myself, not really having great beliefs in myself, to all of a sudden now running a business, being a director. and amongst some amazing people, very clever and bright people, and going out and building a multi-million-pound business, which was incredible. But that was what I call stage one. And then stage two was I then became quite dissatisfied with all of that, and I couldn't understand why. I ticked many of the boxes: great income, great lifestyle, great family, with holidaying, 2 houses, all those things, which was what I always wanted to tick, those boxes. And I sat there and I thought, I don't know if I'm happy. And that was a really confusing time, because everything was saying I should be happy. And this is why I think this conversation about purpose is so relevant, that I decided to take a year off. And so 9 years ago, the family and I flew down to Fuerteventura, one of the Canary Islands, and with my 2 boys and my wife, I just had a year off, and it was a life-changing year in every sense of the word for every one of us. And in that time, I really began to understand the difference between success and fulfillment. And that I'd been pursuing the path of success, thinking that it would bring me fulfillment. And actually, they're 2 very different paths, and I needed to make some adjustments. Plus, I was going through those middle years, the midlife years, so you could say I had some sort of midlife crisis.
Hence the Midlife Maverick.
Hence the Midlife Maverick. But then when I came back, I really changed the way I went about conducting my life. I really shook things up and haven't really looked back since. And that was where finding your smile, or following your smile, was really born. Because it was born out of my experience of trying to figure out what the heck was going on with me. And then through that, I understood so much more about that different path, from success to fulfillment, or success to significance, or to be more purposeful, to understand what it means to be more purposeful and live in a more purposeful way. So that's a quick from school to now.
It's such an inspiring story, and you make it sound they're so simple. I was satisfied, then I was dissatisfied. I worked out what my real definition of fulfillment was, so I went off and I did something else. But in order for you to do that, I know that there was many obstacles that you had to overcome, a lot of resistance in all of that. So what was I resist using the word price that you had to pay, but what was some of the obstacles and resistance that you had to overcome?
Oh, loads. And it'll always come back to a word that we all understand, which is fear. Just lots of fears all the way through. So, the fear. So if I go right the way back, I didn't have a great education. And one of the fears that I had then was I didn't really want to be responsible or accountable. I never wanted to take managerial positions. And every time they asked me to, I'd leave, right? I'd sabotage. And I did some weird things in those early days that, I was stacking shelves for Tesco's on the night team, and they sacked me. And that takes some doing. They don't let go of you too easily. And it's because I wanted them to, because they were saying, will you become a manager? We can see you moving through. So they saw some potential in me I didn't see in myself. And so the first thing then was actually putting myself in a position where I was accountable and responsible, and that was a big fear, because when that happened at school, I tend to get feedback that wasn't great feedback. So that was the first thing. If we move forward to starting the business, that was in director now, and this responsible for a lot of people, and so that was another scary to step through that. And then taking the year out, what if there's no job for me when I come back? What if there's no income for me? We had to pay for that year ourselves. We had to self-fund it. And so we went in debt by £60,000, actually, taking that year out. It's costing us more to keep everything going in the UK than it was to live on the little island. It was just incredible. And then when I came back, and then a few years later, wanting to leave Rogen SI and step down as a director and letting go of all of everything that I'd built to go solo, to go on my own. And so always it's fear, and fear of the unknown, fear of rejection, fear of failing, fear of screwing up. That these are the things that I've had to overcome, just like all of us. It's no different for every one of us. We confront those fears, the inner resistance that's trying to hold us back to the past and to limits and to the aspects of ourself that are not nothing to do with our purpose and nothing to do with the reason that we're on this planet. And so it's never easy. It's never easy. There's never a simple way around it. It always comes to taking a risk. I love the clip in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid where, the classic where they're being chased and they get to the edge of that ravine and they have three options, right? Option number one, give up. Option number two, do what they've always done, which is fight their way out. Or option three, jump. And listen, to begin with, I think it's Butch that says, no, I'll fight my way out. In other words, he'd rather stay in the world that he knows, even though that equals death. There's no way that they could fight their way out.
Yeah.
And it could be death, making the jump, but it could also mean freedom, and that's obviously what it gives them. And so, there's times in our life when we might as well jump.
Yeah, it's that craving for familiarity. It sometimes can be wonderful things because it means we get to stay comfortable and we get to stay safe, but it can also be our undoing, can't it? Because it prevents us from being all that we can be. And Colin, I know that year that you spent in Fuerteventura, that was quite an exceptional year for you, and you learned a lot about yourself and your fulfillment, what that really means to you. So can you describe a bit what that year was like and what it was about it that caused you to make some key distinctions for you and your family?
Sure. Went into it very naive, please. I live in Spain now. That was never planned. And so it was just only meant to be a year out, and we were coming back to Hertfordshire. Boys were going back into the same school, and it would just be a chance to just have a great time as a family. Well, very naive, because it was life-changing. And please, no phones, no TV, no newspapers, no radio, no mobiles, no internet. We disconnected from the matrix. We had more goats around us than people. And we lived that beach life. We love the outdoor life, and we lived that beach life. But what it did for me is it gave me, and by the way, I must say and if you speak with my wife at all, I was weird the first month. Everything that I was used to that caused the adrenaline to rush was gone. No one was ringing me. No one was wanting my support, my help. I wasn't doing big things in the corporate world, and I definitely was weird. I definitely it was like coming off of drugs, which is the addiction to adrenaline. But once I got past that, I just had the time to really breathe and think, and relax, get clear, and that's what happened. And what I realized is that clarity comes in layers. Very few of us wake up and go, I know what my purpose is. I know what I'm meant to be doing. It's never happened for me. It's always been in layers. It's always been a process, a gradual process. And so over that year, I started to think, about some of those things and think about what is it that I really want to do? If I just strip everything away for a moment, what is it that I really want to do? And so that chance to really breathe was really what made the difference. And we made some big decisions that year, like not coming back to the UK and moving to mainland Spain. It's a big decision. I went part-time as a director. That's never been known. Part-time director, and all credit to the directors and to the guy that was running the company, Andrew, for giving me the chance to try it, because it had never been done before. And so, I had some good people around me who helped me. So
and let's be get some clarity around that. Earlier when you mentioned, we set up this little company called SI, by the time you left, it wasn't such a little company anymore. It was quite a huge concern. So, you're making good money, you had all the outer trappings of success, and with this clarity, you're thinking, this isn't what I mean by success. So that's a huge step to take, isn't it, in direction of authenticity and, you know, finding, well, what am I all about? That's a huge risk to take. So how was that received by the people around you?
Well, some people thought I was completely mad, and this is one of the fears you have to get over, or the need for approval, the need for acceptance, and the need for love. You know, the more you follow your truth, the more you're going to scare the living daylights out of certain individuals, especially family members, and the more you may be rejected for it. You know, I did get a little bit of rejection for taking my year out. I had a little bit of the guilt trap sort of thrown at me. Well, it's all right for you. You can do that. We can't do that. And, you know, you got, and I almost, I got to be honest, I almost didn't take the year out because of it. It was my wife Tor that went, no, we're committed. We're doing this now, you know.
Gentle nudge.
Yeah, more than a gentle nudge. It was
a bloody great push.
A bloody great push. And it was, you know, but I was like, well, maybe I'm wrong to do this. Maybe I'm being ever so selfish. You know, this is real selfish. And another thing that I learned about that word selfish, that I now call it enlightened selfishness, that, yeah, sometimes we do have to be selfish. But in order to serve the world better, we have to serve ourselves first. I've got to fill myself up in order to be able to fill up anyone else. So enlightened selfishness, I was being selfish, but I came back a better person. I came back a better husband, a better father, a better friend, a better work colleague, a better leader. I came back better. So
yes.
I'm definitely one for using that word selfishness. I've learned, especially with females, that word, if you call a female that word selfish, it's worse than any swear word you can think of. You know? It's just, you know, so for females to be selfish is a tough gig, and I invite them to, you know, enlighten selfishness. It's actually a good thing. So
that's almost selfishness, you know, when we get a clear definition of what it's all about, that then becomes our life's work, right? You know, to do it in honor of making our lives a better place, other people's lives a better experience for them, and ultimately just to keep giving of our gifts. And we can't do that if we're not being true to our own purpose and our own truth.
Absolutely.
So, Colin, let's bring it forward to today then. So from that experience of getting clear of what you're all about, what does authenticity and fulfillment really mean for you, that was a whole new journey, right? To set up Follow Your Smile. You've done a whole heap of that. So can you describe a bit of what is Follow Your Smile, what's that about, and what's the real driving purpose behind that?
Sure. So firstly, the driving purpose came when I realized that I had given very little back and I needed to actually contribute. It was one of my values, and it was one of the values that was really not being lived, because I couldn't look around and say, where am I contributing? Yeah, all right, could be inspiring some people in the corporate world, but beyond that, where am I giving? And so I knew I needed to do something in that space. That was the first thing, that I needed to contribute. And I think that's really important for all of us. I mean, contribution and purpose are two things that are so closely aligned. You know, when you're doing something bigger than yourself and beyond yourself, it's far more purposeful, and you feel far more purposeful. So then it was what? And the whole Follow Your Smile came from the movie City Slickers, where Billy Crystal, I think it is, he's not having a great time, and he goes on this ranch and he becomes a cowboy, but going there, he's resistant going there, and his wife says to him, you know, go and find your smile. And I loved that, find your smile. That was lovely. And that was where the whole idea came up for finding and following your smile. And then I decided to actually run retreats where I don't charge for my time. So I give my time freely, and then if people enjoy the retreats, then they give an amount of money of their choosing to a charity of their choosing. So far, by doing 13 retreats, we've raised £90,000 for a whole host, which is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And so, what is Follow Your Smile? Well, Follow Your Smile is very simple. Our smile is really energy. I call it smile on or smile off, energized or drained. Very simple. And so, when we start to pay attention to when we're energized, that's our smile. And our smile is mind, body, spirit alignment. It's total alignment, you know. And basically, we are being given a very strong message to move in a certain direction. We may not because of fear, we may not because of resistance, but there's a part of us saying, this is the direction. So it's an internal compass that leads us really to where we need to go. So I say often we don't need to be that clear on where we're meant to be and what we're meant to be doing. We just need to get clarity around what will get us there, which is our smile.
Yeah.
And then it means just evaluating everything that we do, people we come around or come around us, situations we find ourselves in, ideas. Are they smile on or smile off? And if it's 8 and above, call that smile on. If it's below that, neutral or smile off. So it's a very simple way of getting clarity and moving forward. And I saw this a little while ago. My wife and I watched the movie Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood. And if you've not seen the movie, I won't give you the ending. It's well worth watching. But Clint is a gentleman called Walt Kowalski, I think, or something like that. And he's a grumpy, tough-minded, unhappy man that can't seem to get along with his kids. He can't seem to get along with his neighbours, his Vietnamese neighbours. He doesn't fit in. But he does strike up a relationship with a young teenage Vietnamese boy, Teo, I think his name was. And Teo's in a bit of trouble because his cousins are in a gang and they want him to be doing things that Teo doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to break the law, but they're trying to induce him into the gang. And so he builds this relationship with Walt. And there's this one scene where they're in Walt's garage, and his garage is amazing. I mean, it's got so many tools all across the back and round. There's just all these racks of tools. And Teo says to him, "God, you've collected some shit in here, haven't you?" and Walt says, "These tools, every one of these tools has a purpose and has a job to do." And I just thought, wow, we'll look at a tool and we know it has a purpose.
Yes.
Yet for ourselves, it's not necessarily that easy. So if I just take this forward, let's say that each of those tools has a consciousness and it has a soul, right? Every one of the tools. And if we start by just playing around with, let's say they're stuck up on that tool rack and they're not being used. What does that feel like? Well, it's not going to feel great. Is it disconnected, dissatisfied, unhappy existence? The tool is there to be used. So let's use the hammer. Let's use the hammer as the main tool. And so Walt comes in one day and he picks up the hammer, and the hammer instantly feels energy. I'm being used. He's going to use me. Oh, and he takes the hammer and he has some plasterboard and he whacks the plasterboard with the hammer to break it up so that he can put it in the bag. How does the hammer feel now? It feels great. It feels fantastic. I've been used. I've been used. I can't wait for tomorrow. I hope that he uses me again tomorrow. And then, Walt comes in, he pulls him off, and then he begins to use him to fix a leg on a table, straighten up a piece of metal, whack a spanner that's trying to get a rusted nut off, and so on. And all the time the little hammer's being used, he's so jazzed, he's so excited, But then over a period of time, it doesn't seem so exciting anymore. It doesn't seem so, like I'm really getting from it. So he concludes that maybe I just need to be used more. That's what it is. I need to do more rather than that. I need to do more. So that leads to still lack of fulfillment. And then one day Walt brings him in to the house, and he puts him up against a nail. And he pulls back and he hits the nail. And in that moment, his little soul lights up. And he realizes, this is what I'm meant to be doing. Yeah. This is what I'm meant to be doing. I'm meant to hit nails. And every time he hits a nail, he comes alive. Smile on. Smile on. And nothing from that moment on, no matter what he hits, it has no comparison to hitting a nail. For him, hitting the nail is his reason, his purpose for being on this planet. And so we can look and go, right, okay, let's pay attention when our soul lights up, because that's a really big clue. Yes. And if you follow it and have the courage to make some difficult decisions, and you follow it, you're going to be led to a purposeful life.
And I like the idea that we're all tools. I think that's a good thing that we can hang on to. And also the idea that there's nothing really logical about what inspires us to do in life. You know, I think probably so many of us watching this interview thinking about purpose would have at some point tried to logically, rationally design a path for ourselves about what we should do, what we shouldn't be doing. You know, as you've said many times before, following somebody else's definition of success. And what I'm hearing is that the skill is to listen out for that whisper of inspiration, as irrational and as illogical as it might sound, to just nudge you gently in the direction of smile on. And just to follow it, just to investigate. You don't have to understand it. Just investigate and use your energy levels to be your informant.
Absolutely, yeah. I was asked to sum up Follow Your Smile on a post-it note, and I came up with think less, feel more. Connect head ideas with heart energy. You've got to have the head ideas, but the heart energy should be the primary reason to move.
Yes.
And so you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And we're all so different, and we're all, you know, what smile on for one person can be smile off for someone else.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that really is what it comes down to. Feelings are ultimately the things to be following. And the feeling of being energized, the feeling of feeling alive is this mind-body-spirit alignment. And all the time we come in contact with that, that's the direction really to move in. It might mean that there's, you know, you've got to take a risk. You might as well jump.
Yeah.
But when you do, you'll feel even more fulfilled, even more alive. And what that's doing for our self-esteem, our self-worth, and our self-confidence is it's just increasing it.
Yeah,
we feel so much better about ourselves when we're able to do the right thing for us and follow our truth.
Yeah.
And that confidence then helps in more fearful situations. In other words, we're able to take even bigger risks. We're able to handle, bigger fears as a result. That's certainly been my experience as I've tackled the demons.
Yes. Yeah,
the inner
and
demons.
it's interesting, isn't it, how we can move from a paradigm of, you know, do I deserve to be happy? Have I done enough to be happy? Who am I to be happy when there's so much suffering around me? And yet when we get to the real purpose of what Follow Your Smile really is, you know, your happiness is your gift to the world. It's your gift to yourself, but it's also your gift to everybody else as well, because when you light up with joy and when you light up with your smile, then everybody gets to you know, get a slice of that cake. So good stuff.
I've written out my purpose statement, and it's to remind people who they really are and inspire them to be it. Now, the only way I can inspire anyone to be it is to be inspired.
Yes.
And so I've got to live my truth. I've got to be following my smile. I've got to be doing what's right for me and the family. I've got to be living life the way that I want to live life. And if I can do that, I stand more chance of inspiring others. So I like that statement for me because I can't hide.
Yeah.
You know, I have to be inspired as well. So no hiding place.
Good stuff. So what's next for Colin Hiles, for Midlife Maverick, for Follow Your Smile? What are you inspired to create next, Colin?
So, well, really, it's about reaching more people now, and you know, I can only reach a certain amount of people face to face, but online gives us the possibility to reach far more people. You know, even through this interview, there'll be more people that will know about Midlife Maverick, Follow Your Smile, Finding a Smile. And so for me, it's about for me right now, it's about building my online presence. It's about understanding social media and you know, blogging and all the things that enable a bigger audience, because, you know, I'd love to reach more people. I'd love to raise more money. I'd love more people to come on the retreats and those sorts of things, because I will always do it free of charge and give my time freely as a result. So for me right now, it's a case of, it's the online aspect of what I do and how to really build that so that I can reach more people.
Yeah, good stuff. And that's a very nice link into, so if people do want to reach out to Colin, I would certainly encourage everyone and their dog to be reaching out in your direction, Colin. You know, the world needs a hell of a lot more of you. What's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
So probably to come to my blog, midlifemaverick.com. So www.midlifemaverick.com. That's where all my my freebies are, and the videos and the blog posts that are all centered around what we've just been talking about here.
Yeah, good stuff. So we're coming up to the end of the interview. I'd like to finish all of these conversations with one simplicity question, and that's, what would your one piece of advice be? If you could give just one piece of advice for somebody who is just about to investigate what their life purpose is, how to live a more purposeful life, what's the real nugget that you would share?
I would say, go to one of these machines where you're able to create a business card for yourself. Create a business card for yourself and call yourself an energy detective. Take that new label on. And you are an energy detective, both detecting energy inside you and detecting energy that you're around. And pay close attention to when you are energized, in our language, smile on.
Yeah.
And just look, when you're around people, are they draining you or energizing you? When you're in situations, energized and drained. When you've got projects to do, energized or drained. When you have an idea, is it energizing or draining? And choose energizing. Choose smile on. Even if it means making some tough decisions, choose it and notice what happens.
Good stuff, good stuff. So we're all energy detectives from this point on, in honour of our purpose and in honour of being of service to the world. Colin, it's been an absolute joy to have you. I've certainly been inspired through this conversation. I hope that everyone watching this is equally as inspired. But for now, enjoy the sun out there in Spain, and I will talk to you very soon.
Thank you.